All right, welcome everyone to another deep dive, and this time we're taking a look at the world of prop making.
So it's exciting.
We've got a whole bunch of resources from RoleCatcher, so we're going to really dig deep and give you some tips for acing that interview. We're going to figure out what those hiring managers are really looking for and help you guys stand out from the crowd,
Yeah.
Like, did you know that with 3D printing and stuff these days, prop makers are making these super detailed pieces way faster than ever before?
Yeah.
It's like revolutionizing the industry.
Yeah, really is. It's pretty amazing to see, actually. But before we go too far, I think it's helpful to take a step back for a sec and really talk about what a prop maker actually does. It's kind of like, imagine you're taking a designer's vision, right?
Yeah.
And you got to transform that into something real, something you can touch, a crucial element to like make a scene come to life.
Oh yeah, that's a really great way to put it. It sounds like problem solving is a big part of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So walk us through what a typical day would look like for a prop maker.
Well, you might start your day off looking over some design sketches. It could be for anything, like
Yeah.
a really simple replica or something crazy with special effects and pyrotechnics.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you got to think about the materials, different construction techniques, and you're constantly collaborating with like designers and the whole production team.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I'm really interested in how RoleCatcher's AI can help with applications and interview prep.
Oh, yeah.
Let's dive into that a little bit.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So RoleCatcher's AI is really something else, especially when it comes to like your CV or resume. What it does is it analyzes your skills and compares them to the specific things they're looking for in the job you're applying for.
Uh-huh.
So basically it helps you tailor your application for each position, which obviously increases your chances of actually getting an interview.
Yeah. It's like having a personal career coach right there helping you out, making sure you put your best foot forward and all that. So now let's move on to some of those sample interview questions
Okay.
and see how RoleCatcher can help you absolutely nail them.
Yeah. Let's jump right in.
All right.
Okay.
So here's the first question, and this one's aimed at entry-level candidates. Can you walk us through your process for creating a prop from start to finish?
Right. So even if you're, haven't had a ton of on-the-job experience, you can still totally ace this one. Talk about your process, like theoretically. Researching the design, sketching out your ideas, picking materials, choosing the right tools, that kind of thing.
So it's more about showing them that you understand the steps, even if you haven't had a chance to work on like a huge project yet.
Exactly. And honestly, enthusiasm goes a long way here.
Yeah.
Show them you're excited about prop making, and that'll really make an impact. Plus, RoleCatcher's AI can actually give you feedback on like your practice answers and stuff, making sure you hit all the right points.
That's a huge advantage. All right, next up, we've got a question for mid-level candidates. Tell us about your experience with creating prop pieces.
Right. So with this one, they're not just after a list of everything you've made. They want to see that passion, that spark shine through.
Okay.
Talk about projects you're really proud of, especially the ones where you had a tough challenge or you used a clever technique or something. This is your moment to like highlight your problem-solving skills and what makes you different from everyone else.
Yeah, that's really helpful advice. It's not just listing skills, it's telling a story about your experience.
Exactly. And don't forget to tailor it to the job you're going for. Like if they're after someone with, let's say, metalworking experience and you've got that, make sure you emphasize it. RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze the job description and give you suggestions on what skills to, focus on in your answer.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, let's move on to question number 3. And this one's also for mid-level candidates. How do you ensure that your props are safe for actors and crew to use?
This is a big one. It's all about responsibility. Safety is paramount on any set, and you got to show them you take that seriously.
Right, so it's not enough to just say safety is important. You got to be specific.
Exactly. Talk about the steps you take, whether it's securing moving parts, making sure materials aren't toxic, or carefully testing any special effects you've got. And if you have any training or certifications related to safety, definitely mention those too.
Right. It's about proving, how to create props that are both amazing to look at and safe to use.
Exactly. And this is where practicing your answer with RoleCatcher can really help. Their AI can check your response and point out any safety things you might have missed, making sure you come across as like a really conscientious prop maker who's all about safety.
Okay, that's so valuable, especially when you're under pressure in an interview, you know. All right, let's tackle question number 4, which is aimed at the senior level folks. How do you approach creating a prop that needs to be both functional and visually appealing?
Right. So this question really gets to the core of prop making. It's not just about making something look pretty. It often has to actually do something too. Think about like a treasure chest that needs to open and close smoothly, or a sword that's strong enough for a stage fight.
So the interviewer wants to see that you get the whole balance between form and function.
Exactly. I'd suggest, focusing on your problem-solving skills and how you can work within those limitations. Talk about a time when you had to get creative to make a prop that was both beautiful and functional. Maybe you had to research old techniques or experiment with different materials to get the result you wanted.
It's about showing your ingenuity, that ability to think outside the box.
Precisely. And to help you really nail this answer, RoleCatcher's AI can actually give you specific examples of similar challenges other prop makers have faced in your industry. It gives you some real-world context to draw from.
Yeah, it's incredibly helpful. All right, let's move on to question number 5, and this one's for all experience levels. How do you approach creating props on a tight budget?
Ah, the budget question. This is all about resourcefulness and creativity. Productions often have limited budgets, so they want to see that you can work within those limits.
So you might talk about finding affordable materials or even repurposing old stuff to make new props.
Exactly. Show them you can deliver high-quality work even without a ton of money. Think about times you had to improvise or get crafty to make a prop come to life without, breaking the bank.
It's all about finding creative solutions, which is a good skill to have in any job, really.
Absolutely. And with RoleCatcher, you can take it even further. Their AI can look at your answer and tell you how your approach fits with the typical budgets for the jobs you're applying for. That kind of insight is super valuable.
I can see how that would give you a real edge, yeah. Okay, for question number 6, let's look at another one for all levels. Can you give an example of a time when you had to troubleshoot a prop issue during a production?
Oh yeah, the troubleshooting question. Everyone gets this one. This
Yeah.
is where you show off your problem-solving skills under pressure. Things don't always go as planned, so they want to know you can handle those curveballs.
Yeah, so think of a time when a prop malfunctioned or you had to make a last-minute change. How did you deal with it? What did you do to fix the problem?
Focus on the actions you took, the thinking behind your decisions, and how you stayed calm when things got crazy. Even if the outcome wasn't perfect, you can still talk about what you learned from the whole experience.
It's about showing your resilience and that you can adapt in a fast-paced environment.
Exactly. And to make sure you're extra prepared, RoleCatcher's AI can look at your answer and suggest follow-up questions the interviewer might ask. That way you can anticipate those curveballs and have good answers ready to go.
That's incredible. Being prepared for those follow-ups can really make a difference. Okay, let's dive into question number 7, and this one's geared toward mid-level candidates. How do you approach collaborating with other members of the production team when creating props?
All right, so this one's all about teamwork. Remember, prop making is rarely a solo thing. You're always working with designers, directors, stage managers, all sorts of crew members.
Right, so they want to see that you can communicate your ideas clearly, take feedback well, and work together towards a shared goal.
Exactly. Think of some specific examples of successful collaborations where you really shined. Emphasize your communication skills and how you contributed to a positive team environment.
It's about showcasing those interpersonal skills and showing that you're a team player.
Absolutely. And to really prepare a great answer, RoleCatcher's AI can actually give you some insights into the team dynamics that are common in your industry. So you can tailor your response and show you understand how collaboration works in that specific field.
That's so helpful. It's like getting a peek behind the curtain before you even walk into the interview.
Exactly. Now, before we move on, I think it's important to look at some of the career insights from RoleCatcher's Career Guide. They've got some really valuable stuff about the prop making industry.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What kind of insights are we talking about?
Well, for starters, they talk about how physically demanding the job is. It's not all glamour and creativity, You'll be doing a lot of heavy lifting, standing for ages, and working with materials that could be hazardous. It's important to be ready for that.
That's a great point. It's not a job for the faint of heart, but it's also incredibly rewarding to see your creations come to life on stage or screen.
Mm-hmm.
What other insights did you find useful?
One thing that really stood out to me was how much they emphasize continuous learning. The prop making industry is always changing with new materials, technologies, techniques. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crucial to stay updated and adapt to all those changes.
Okay, so attending workshops, reading industry publications, trying out new tools and materials, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And it's not just about technical skills either. RoleCatcher also talks about how important soft skills are, like communication, problem solving, teamwork. Those are essential for any job where you're collaborating, especially prop making.
That's a great reminder. It's not just about what you know, it's how you work with others and handle all the challenges that pop up in a busy production environment.
Exactly. And all these insights from RoleCatcher's career guide really tie back to those interview questions we've been going through. They give you a deeper understanding of the qualities and skills they're looking for.
That's so true. It's like they're giving you the blueprint for success in prop making. Okay, we've covered a ton in this first part of our deep dive, but we're just getting started.
Yeah, we've got more interview questions and insights to explore in part two.
Sounds great. We'll be back soon with more tips and strategies to help you land that dream job in prop making. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So we were just talking about how important it is to keep learning in the prop making world. It's always changing, so you got to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's so true. So let's get back to those interview questions and see what else we can find. This next one seems pretty relevant these days. How do you incorporate sustainability into your prop making process?
That's a really good question. It shows them you're not just good at making stuff, but you also care about the environment. Productions are trying to be more eco-friendly, and prop making is a big part of that.
I bet. So how can someone answer this question well? What are some examples of sustainable prop making practices?
Well, it starts with the materials you use. Instead of always using brand new stuff, could you reuse or recycle things, like maybe salvage materials from other productions or use recycled plastic or wood?
Oh, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. And it's not just about the main materials either. Think about eco-friendly options for paints, glues, and other stuff. Water-based paints and non-toxic glues are way better for the environment and for the people working with them.
It's amazing how those little choices can make a big difference for sustainability.
Exactly. And then there's energy use. Using tools and equipment that are energy efficient helps. And for bigger props, using lightweight materials means you use less energy to move them around.
Those are all great tips. It's clear that sustainability is becoming really important in prop making, and being able to talk about it will probably impress interviewers.
Totally. Okay, let's try another question that tests how you handle pressure. Tell me about a time you had to work on a tough project with a tight deadline. How did you manage your time and resources?
Ugh, the deadline question. This one's all about being organized, solving problems, and staying cool when things get hectic.
Exactly. Pick an example that shows you can do well in a challenging situation. Maybe you had to build a really complex prop with lots of moving parts super fast. Talk about what you did, how you decided what to do first, and how you made sure it was good quality even with the time pressure.
It's about showing you can think clearly and make decisions even when the clock's ticking.
Right. And remember those tools we talked about. RoleCatcher's AI can actually look at your answer and suggest project management techniques or software that are used in your industry. And mentioning those shows, you know how things are done in the real world.
That's a great tip. Now let's talk about teamwork, which is super important in prop making. This next question is about handling conflict. How do you handle disagreements or conflicts that come up when you're collaborating with other team members?
This is a classic interview question, but it's a chance to show you're mature and can handle things well. They want to see that you can deal with people problems professionally and without drama.
So what's the best way to answer this?
Talk about open communication, listening to others, and finding solutions that work for everyone. Give an example of a time you disagreed with someone, maybe about how to do something on a prop. Explain how you listened to their ideas, shared your own, and figured out a solution that kept the project moving forward.
It's about showing you value teamwork and can handle conflict in a positive way.
Exactly. RoleCatcher's AI can even tell you about communication styles and conflict resolution strategies that are common in your industry. Using those in your answer shows you've done your research and understand how things work in that field.
That's amazing. It's all about showing you're not just skilled, but also a good fit for their team.
Absolutely. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about your creative side. Tell me about a prop you're especially proud of and why.
This is your time to shine. The interviewer wants to see your passion for prop making and how you solve problems.
Choose a prop that shows off your skills and your style. Maybe it was a really hard one to build, or you had to think outside the box. Don't just describe it, explain why you're proud of it. Was it a tough technique you mastered, or a weird material you used? Did the production team love it?
Tell the story. Bring that prop to life and let your enthusiasm show.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you polish that story. By looking at the job description, it can tell you what parts of your prop to focus on so your answer matches what they're looking for.
Okay, let's talk about the future of prop making. This next question is about new technology. How do you see emerging technologies like 3D printing and virtual reality impacting the future of prop making?
This question shows you're not just stuck in the old ways, but you're also thinking ahead and can adapt to new technology. It's a chance to talk about how these advancements are changing the field.
So where should someone start with this one?
Talk about what these technologies can do. Like 3D printing lets you make super intricate and complex props that would be almost impossible to make the old way. And virtual reality lets you create virtual models, so you can test designs before you actually build them, saving time and resources.
It's mind-blowing to think about what's possible.
It is. And while it's important to embrace new technology, you can also mention that traditional skills are still important. It's about finding the right balance between the old and the new.
Like blending the best of both worlds to make something truly awesome.
Exactly. And to really impress them, RoleCatcher's AI can give you specific examples of how these technologies are being used in your industry. Talking about those shows, you know what's going on, and you're eager to stay ahead of the curve.
That's a great point. It shows you're not just talking about technology in general, but you understand how it's being used in the real world. Okay, we've covered a lot today.
We have. But before we wrap up, I want to mention one more career insight from RoleCatcher's guide. It might not seem obvious, but it's really important for a successful career in prop making.
Okay, I'm curious. What is it?
Networking. It's so important to build relationships with other people in the industry, going to industry events, joining online forums, reaching out to people you admire, all that can open doors to opportunities you didn't even know existed.
That makes sense. It's all about connecting with people and learning from those who've been there and done that.
Right. And RoleCatcher can actually help you with networking too. Their platform has a directory of prop makers and industry folks, so it's easier to connect with people in your field.
Wow, that's really helpful. It's like having a built-in networking tool.
It's a great resource, especially when you're just starting out. Okay, so now that we've talked about all those interview questions, sustainability, and career stuff, it's time to move on to the final part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. I can't wait to hear what else you have for us. See you in part 3. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're on the final part of our prop making journey here. What were those final thoughts you wanted to share? I know our listeners are probably eager to soak up all this wisdom before heading into those interviews.
For sure. Going through these questions, it's really hit me how important soft skills are in this line of work.
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of people think prop making is all about, the technical side, the craftsmanship. But you're right, being able to communicate well, work as a team, think on your feet, those are all super important.
Exactly. It makes sense when you think about how fast-paced and sometimes chaotic production can be. You got to be able to roll with the punches, handle feedback, and work well with all kinds of people.
So to all those aspiring prop makers out there, don't forget about those soft skills. They're just as important as your technical know-how.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of important skills, RoleCatcher's Career Guide also talks about staying up to date on industry trends.
Oh yeah, the entertainment industry is always changing, so you got to keep your finger on the pulse. What's new, what's hot in prop making, all that.
Totally. Whether it's trying out new materials, learning new software, going to events, you got to keep learning to stay ahead of the game.
And it's a great way to network, meet other prop makers, learn from them, maybe even find your next gig.
Absolutely. Talking about all this just reminds me that prop making is really this cool mix of artistry and technical skill.
It's that balance of creativity and practicality, right?
Yeah.
You're taking an idea and making it real, something that helps tell a story.
And that story can take people to other worlds, other times. The power of prop making is amazing.
Well said. It's been awesome diving into the world of prop making with you. We've only just scratched the surface, but hopefully this deep dive has given our listeners a better idea of what this career is all about and how to get ready for those interviews.
And hey, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, remember RoleCatcher's there to help you along the way. Their AI tools can help with your resume, practice interviews, and even give you personalized feedback so you can land that dream job.
So to our listener, go out there and create. The world needs talented and passionate prop makers to bring those stories to life.
And hey, who knows, maybe we'll see your work on the big screen or on Broadway someday.
That's a wrap for today's deep dive into prop making. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.